Northern faithful. Today, the atmosphere in Toronto has that kind of energy that gives chills even to anyone just walking past the Rogers Center without looking. Because on one side, we see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. fully taking over the role as the face of the franchise, a massive contract, a historic postseason, and an impact that is reshaping the future of the Jays. And on the other, a rumor has surfaced that shook even the blue sky over Ontario. Kyle Tucker may be packing his bags for the loudest nest in baseball, with Toronto emerging as a clear favorite for a move that stunned the entire MLB. It's that moment when Jays Nation feels that something special is forming, something big. Drop a like to show that the blue flock is awake and paying attention, because this team moves us in ways nobody else understands. So let's go. Diving into the first story. The truth is that the Toronto Blue Jays reached this point because, before any rumor, before any offseason chaos, one name carried the weight of the entire franchise. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. The journey to this moment wasn't simple. Toronto went through years of expectation, rebuilding, highs and lows. And in the middle of all, there was a 16-year-old kid in whom the organization placed almost blind hope. And today, looking at the impact he had in October, it feels like all that emotional investment from the fans and the team finally paid off. The Rogers Center saw nights where Vladdy seemed to play with the whole city, pushing him forward. And his postseason production speaks for itself. Even with a regular season defensively that left room for improvement, he became the offensive heartbeat of the team when it mattered most. And that made Toronto dream in a way no one expected at the start of the year. And what came after, nobody saw coming. When the dust of the season settled, the fact that changes everything arrived. The biggest contract in franchise history. 14 years, $500 million. A commitment that practically seals the idea that he will finish his career wearing the blue bird on his chest. More than money, this represents vision from an athlete who exploded in October, led entire postseason categories, and added to his resume awards like Artist of the Year, All-MLB selections, and a growing All-Star record. The impact of this is enormous. Toronto is anchoring its future to him, and the team is making it clear that the offense will be built around their most dominant player. But does that responsibility weigh on him? Does this contract place Vladdy under a level of pressure no Blue Jay has ever carried before? And when the fan base looks behind the scenes, the feeling is split in two. On one side, complete pride, because nobody in Blue Jays history has more postseason home runs than he does. And he gave real reasons to believe the team can return to the World Series. On the other, the inevitable frustration of a season that ended earlier than it could have. That mix is part of the identity of Jays Nation, celebrating talent while feeling the sting of elimination. And his defense, which wasn't among the best during the regular season, naturally becomes a talking point, not as an empty criticism, but with that feeling of he can give more and we know he will. That's how fans react when the player is truly great. Looking at the season as a whole, the Jays' trajectory mirrors what Guerrero Jr. himself represents. Power, imperfection, explosiveness, and an enormous margin for something even greater. The first division title in 10 years, the deep return to the playoffs, the trip to the World Series for the first time since 1993. All of it goes through him. And now, with the contract signed and his monstrous October still echoing, it feels like Toronto is entering a new era. An era guided by the bat that carried the city when pressure was highest. And I want to hear from you, Northern faithful. Do you think this new contract officially makes Vladdy the definitive face of the franchise for the next 10, 12, 14 years? So here we go, diving now into the second story. The truth is that the Jays' offseason gained a whole new weight the moment Kyle Tucker's name appeared on the horizon. Toronto was coming off an intense season, marked by growth, by a real taste of the World Series, and by that uncomfortable feeling of one detail was missing. And when a team gets that close, the pressure to adjust the roster becomes almost a responsibility to the city. The Rogers Center felt that. The Northern faithful felt that. It was clear that something big needed to happen. And then came the rumor that became the talk of the entire MLB. Kyle Tucker might be on his way to Toronto. One of the most complete outfielders in modern baseball. A true two-way impact player with star power and an age profile that fits perfectly with the franchise's moment. And suddenly, everything changed. And what came next put the entire league on alert. The point that flips this whole story upside down is simple. Houston is willing to listen to offers. And that opens a door no one expected this early. Tucker is heading toward a contract that could surpass $400 million. Something the Astros may not be able to sustain. And Toronto, with prospect capital, with ambition, and with a lineup that needs exactly this kind of star in a hardly order, emerges as a favorite. This is huge. Toronto doesn't enter conversations like this just to participate. It enters because it believes Tucker can be the name that transforms a team from a strong promise into a firm contender. But the price will be high. Very high. The question is it worth giving up young talent and risking everything for a player of this caliber? Jays Nation knows that a move like this changes the future. For good or for complete chaos. Behind the scenes, the reaction is that classic mix inside the Toronto fan base. Excitement and anxiety wrestling in the same chest. On one side, the inevitable image of Tucker sharing a lineup with Vladdy, bringing immediate impact in power, consistency, and offensive presence. The city vibrates just imagining it. On the other, the very real fear of losing key prospects, of risking future depth, and of dealing with the outfielder's recent injuries, like the shin fracture and time missed in 2024. The truth is, the fan base has seen bold moves before. Some worked, others left scars. And this rumor brings back exactly that feeling, greatness within reach, but with enough risk to keep you up at night. When we think about the identity of the Jays, this rumor arrives at a symbolic moment. The team just proved it can compete at the top. Guerrero Jr. signed a contract that symbolizes a commitment to the future. The franchise returned to the World Series for the first time since 1993. It's a phase of identity rebuilding, but also of ambition, and Tucker represents exactly that ambition. He is the kind of player who, throughout baseball history, changes not just offensive output, but the way a city sees itself. The Jays have gone through turbulence like this before. Moments when they needed a name to push the franchise to a higher tier. The potential arrival of Tucker echoes those moments. It feels like Toronto is flirting with a new era, an era in which Jays Nation stops just dreaming and starts demanding respect. And now I want to know from the Blue Flock, how far would you go for Kyle Tucker? Would you give up elite prospects or protect the farm for safety? So let's close this story the way Jays Nation deserves. Because after everything we just talked about, after watching Vladimir Guerrero Jr. cement himself as the pillar of this franchise, after witnessing the most dominant postseason of his career, and after feeling the historic weight of the biggest contract the Jays have ever signed, it's clear that Toronto is building something far beyond numbers. Its identity, its commitment. It's the entire city leaning on the bat that carried October on its shoulders. And then comes a perfect counterpart, the Kyle Tucker rumor, a breath of ambition that shows the Jays don't just want to compete, they want to win. They want to fix weaknesses, add strength, and turn a good team into a feared one. Tucker's possible arrival connects directly with Vladdy's future. One player who reached the top by pulling the team, and another who could arrive to push this group even higher. That's the feeling that defines Jays Nation right now. Hope and frustration intertwined, but always with a fire that never goes out. Because rooting for Toronto is exactly that. Believing when the world calls it crazy, resisting when it seems impossible, and dreaming even when the season ends with a bitter taste. Being a Blue Jay is believing even when the sky closes. Being a Blue Jay is carrying history on your shoulders and passion in your chest. Drop your thought in the comments, Northern Faithful. And hit that like button to show that this passion doesn't cool down, not even in Toronto's icy winter.